You arrive in a damp tenement flat that smells of coal dust and boiled cabbage. South side of Glasgow, cracked plaster, thin walls. The Clyde wind crawling through window frames like it owns the place. Your mother counts coins at the kitchen table. Your father works when the yard whistles call. Outside, cranes hang over the river like iron skeletons. Men walk to the slips before dawn. Boots, cigarettes, silence. Govan lives off steel and sweat. In 1971, the Upper Clyde shipbuilders' work-in begins across the river. Thousands refuse to leave the yards. You grow up hearing the word redundant before you learn multiplication. School teaches you little. Streets teach faster. Boys measure respect with fists and stolen radios. The closes behind Paisley Road West echo with running feet and police sirens. You learn which stairwells hide you and which ones get you cornered. By the time you reach 12, the city is already shrinking. Factories close like snapped bones. Pubs fill earlier every year. Then comes 4th May 1979. Margaret Thatcher wins the UK general election. Adults speak the name like a storm warning. Jobs disappear. Tempers rise. You watch men drink away pride that once came from the Clyde. You learn something simple. In Glasgow, power belongs to whoever is still standing when the shouting stops. You grow fast because the streets demand it. Govan teaches you the rules before you understand the game. You run messages first. Small errands, cigarettes, packages wrapped in brown tape. Nobody explains what's inside. Nobody needs to. The older boys watch how you move. Not fast, not slow, calm. That matters. By 14, you know every alley between Govan Road and the river. You know which pubs pay protection and which ones still think pride is cheaper than broken windows. Nights smell of diesel, beer, and wet asphalt. The city is already changing shape. In 1980, the Kingston Bridge over the River Clyde becomes one of the busiest motorways in Europe. Cars flood through Glasgow. Money passes above your head while the streets below rot quietly. You notice who controls things. Not politicians, not police. Men with quiet voices and heavy rings. You start collecting favors, watching who owes who. A bookmaker lets you stand behind the counter during busy hours. You learn numbers, odds, panic in a gambler's eyes. You also learn how quickly fear turns a man obedient. The violence around you sharpens. Razors in pockets, chains under jackets. No speeches, just quick lessons. Then the heroin starts creeping into the schemes. Slow at first, then everywhere. By 1982, Glasgow hospitals begin reporting a sharp rise in heroin addiction across the city. Needles appear in stairwells. Friends disappear into debt and sickness. You watch carefully. Drugs make men weak. Weak men need protection. Protection creates business. You stop being a runner. Runners get caught. Owners stay clean. You build habits instead of reputation. Wake early. Walk the same streets every day. Watch who owes money, who drinks too much, who talks too loud. Glasgow teaches you that information weighs more than muscle. You carry 3 things: a notebook, a calm face, and patience. Bookmakers become your classroom. Smoke-filled rooms near Paisley Road, cheap carpets soaked in spilled lager. You learn how odds move when panic spreads. You learn which gamblers borrow and which gamblers disappear. In 1983, Glasgow District Council begins large housing clearances across Govan and the South Side, moving families from crumbling tenements into new schemes. Whole streets empty overnight. New blocks fill with strangers who need jobs, cash, protection. Vacuum creates opportunity. You organize small things first. Debt collection. A quiet visit to a man who forgot to pay. No shouting, just presence. Word spreads faster when nobody hears the threat. Violence remains a tool. Not the first one, the last one. You keep 3 boys close. One talks too much but hears everything. One fights like a dog. The third counts money faster than a bank clerk. You keep them separated so none of them know the whole machine. Meanwhile, the city rots deeper. The 1984 to 1985 UK miners' strike spreads tension across Scotland, even in Glasgow where pits are miles away. Police lines, angry marches, men without wages. Anger needs direction, debt needs collectors, and people always need someone willing to do what the law refuses to do. You stop circling the machine. You step inside it. By your early 20s, the city already knows your face. Not famous, not feared, useful. That's better. Useful men get invited into rooms where real decisions happen. The first door opens in a quiet pub off Paisley Road, curtains drawn even in daylight, smoke thick enough to hide expressions. Older men sit there. Men who survived razor gangs in the 60s and football riots in the 70s. They don't waste words. You bring numbers. Debts collected. Bookmakers stabilized. A few dealers now paying you instead of stabbing each other over corners. Order earns attention. Outside, Glasgow tries to clean its image. In 1988, the Glasgow Garden Festival opens on reclaimed land along the River Clyde. Politicians smile for cameras. Flowers where shipyards used to stand. The newspapers talk about rebirth. Your business grows in the shadows behind the fireworks. Nightclubs begin replacing old pubs. Cocaine replaces cheap speed. Security doors, velvet ropes, back rooms. You invest quietly. A share here, a loan there. Soon, every club on the south side calls you before hiring bouncers. The police know your name by now. They watch, they wait. But paperwork needs evidence, and evidence disappears when everyone in the room owes you money. Then the city receives a title that makes officials proud and criminals richer. In 1990, Glasgow becomes the European city of culture. Tourists arrive, students arrive, money arrives, and money always needs someone to manage the dark side of the ledger. Now the city moves through you, not loudly, quietly, like electricity inside the walls. Clubs, bookmakers, small construction firms, taxi companies. Nothing glamorous, just arteries where cash flows every night. You don't touch the street trade anymore. Others do that. You collect the gravity around it. Friday nights in Glasgow become predictable machines. Music, cocaine, drunk students, men with gold watches watching the doors. Bouncers report to managers. Managers report to you. The riverfront begins changing again. Cranes return, but they build offices instead of ships. In 1997, the Glasgow Science Centre project is approved as part of Clyde waterfront redevelopment. Investors talk about New Glasgow. Glass buildings, conference halls, construction brings contractors. Contractors bring invoices. Invoices bring opportunities. You start laundering money through real projects. Concrete, steel, scaffolding, perfect industries. Nobody counts every bolt. Nobody tracks every pallet of cement. Meanwhile, violence moves farther away from you. Problems solved before they reach your door. Two crews arguing over nightclub territory disappear from the map within a week. No spectacle, just silence. Police reorganize, trying to catch up with a city that no longer looks like the old Glasgow. In 1996, Strathclyde police form specialized serious crime units targeting organized gangs. They raid houses, seize cars, arrest small fish. Your name never appears on the paper. You sit in quiet restaurants now. Not pubs, not clubs. Real places with linen napkins and soft voices. From your table, you watch the city glow at night, and you understand something simple. Glasgow no longer scares you. Glasgow runs because you allow it. Power never stays quiet for long. Money spreads like oil across the city. Eventually, everyone smells it. You start seeing unfamiliar cars parked too long outside businesses. Men drinking coffee without touching the cup. New accountants asking too many questions about old invoices. The police stopped chasing street dealers years ago. Now they hunt structures, patterns, bank transfers, shell companies. Your system becomes their puzzle. Then the city explodes with a reminder of what Glasgow has always been underneath the glass buildings. On the 30th of April 2004, gangster Kevin Gerbil Carroll is shot dead outside the Asda in Robe Royston. Morning shoppers hear the gunfire. The newspapers scream about gang wars. Your phone rings all day after that. Old rivals getting nervous. Younger crews smelling weakness. Violence attracts ambition. You tighten everything. Meetings get shorter. Payments move through 2 extra layers. You stop appearing in public places entirely. The restaurants vanish from your life. But pressure changes people. One of your collectors starts drinking too much. Another spends money he doesn't have. A third begins talking to someone he shouldn't. Meanwhile, Scotland changes the rules of the game. In 2006, the Scottish Parliament passes the Proceeds of Crime legislation, strengthening asset seizure against organized crime. Houses, cars, bank accounts. All fair game now. You built an empire without leaving fingerprints. Now the government doesn't need fingerprints. They just need numbers that don't add up. You feel the shift before anyone says it out loud. The old Glasgow is disappearing. The one built on pubs, cash, and quiet handshakes. The new one runs on databases and surveillance. Police no longer kick doors for drugs. They follow accountants. Every payment leaves a shadow now. Every company registration becomes a thread someone can pull. Then the state builds something designed specifically for men like you. In 2013, the Scottish government launches the Serious and Organized Crime Task Force expansion. Analysts, financial investigators, prosecutors, not street cops, hunters of systems. Your system. Raids begin across the city, not dramatic, precise. Offices first. Storage units, lawyers' desks. Computers disappear into evidence bags. Hard drives travel to laboratories instead of police lockers. You stop trusting phones entirely. Meetings return to parking lots and empty warehouses. The city feels smaller again. Meanwhile, Glasgow pretends the past is gone. In July 2014, the Commonwealth Games open at Celtic Park. Fireworks above the East End. Television crews broadcasting a clean, modern Scotland. You watch it on a muted television. Behind the celebration, arrests keep happening. Younger gang leaders fall first. The reckless ones who believed the old rules still worked. Long sentences follow. Your circle shrinks, not through betrayal, through gravity. Pressure breaks weaker metal first. For the first time in decades, control slips slightly from your hands. Not chaos, not collapse. Just the quiet realization that the world you mastered is being dismantled piece by piece. You wake earlier now. No alarms, just habit left over from decades of watching the city before it wakes. Glasgow looks different through older eyes. Cleaner streets, fewer pubs, more glass towers reflecting a river that once carried steel. Your network still exists, but it breathes slower. Younger men run the clubs. Others handle the construction companies. You watch numbers arrive through intermediaries who barely know your name. The world moves forward without asking permission. Then comes the moment that confirms the era is finished. On 1st April 2013, Police Scotland becomes a single national police force, replacing regional departments like Strathclyde Police. Centralized databases, unified intelligence. Old local arrangements vanish overnight. The game becomes mathematical. Years pass quietly. Investigations fade. Some rivals die, others retire. The city no longer produces men exactly like you. Too many cameras, too many regulations, too little chaos. You walk along the Clyde sometimes, late evening when the wind is sharp and the streets empty. The river carries reflections from buildings that didn't exist when you were a boy running messages through damp stairwells. Nearby stands a monument to the old industry. The Finiston crane, built in 1931, still towers above the water like a rusted skeleton of the shipyard age. You understand the meaning without saying it aloud. Cities change, empires dissolve, systems collapse into paperwork and memory. But somewhere under the new lights, the old Glasgow still breathes. And you were one of the men who ruled it when it was still dangerous.